Hey everyone, welcome to another EXO Academy training. I'm here with, I know your name is Chantel. How am I supposed to pronounce your handle? Is it just SVL?
Yeah, SVL.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there was like some secret pronunciation.
Oh, no. No, not like Goichi or something like that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've met someone who said Go One, and I just looked at them and I was like, oh, you special pure boy.
Yeah.
All right, so as you guys probably have gotten used to from seeing me, I show up to help the Academy players learn how to be better on social media, how to have better media presence, and, you know, how to handle interviews and just present the best version of themselves. You know, the one thing that people think media training is about is, you know, they think we're here to like turn you into like super PC bots and that, you know, we clean up all your stuff. Nope. I'm here to make sure that everybody always sees the best version of you at all times. That's what I'm all about. So my first rule of social media is if you wouldn't show it to your grandmother, you shouldn't post it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple way to say like, hey, don't. So like, for example, we all know that Sonic Fox puts some pretty interesting things on his timeline, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but we also know that that's like his personality, and I'm pretty sure even if like some of the super spicy stuff he wouldn't show to his grandma, like the vast majority of it's like not actually that bad. It's that same principle. Because one of the things I'm going to be teaching you is how to make sure that your social media presence is something that like sponsors are going to be interested in. And while sure, engagement levels and all of that stuff is like super important, and it's stuff that Carolyn's going to go over with you during her training, the other thing that sponsors are looking for is that like you're not going to make them look dumb.
Yeah, definitely.
And the way to avoid making them look dumb is by just, you know, only putting stuff up that your grandma would like. So that's like the super easy basic rule number one. And if there's anything that you take away from today, if you just do that, you'll be pretty good. Now, I looked at your social media and I looked at your Twitch, and you're not really big on Twitter, are you? Like using it?
No. I actually like just started like actively using it like less than a year ago actually.
Okay.
So I just haven't really been active on it when I first made it. I made it because like I had to use it for like my job, and then I didn't really have a need to use it at that point, and then just last year I was just like, I'm gonna start getting active on Twitter again. So this is the most active I've been, honestly.
Yeah. All right. So the one thing that I would recommend is that if you're not big into, do you use Instagram?
I used to, but I kind of stopped that too. But I do have an Instagram, and then I use Facebook a lot too.
Okay. So Facebook, I would recommend leaving it as like your U zone, like 100%. That's for you. Don't really worry about making your Facebook like PR savvy. If you are gonna use social media, I will tell you that something that Alex Meyer said to me very recently, when he's not an official Red Bull athlete, but because Tempo Storm is sponsored by Red Bull, they sometimes send him on Red Bull retreats. And one of the things a lot of the Red Bull athletes tell him is that a lot of sponsors are way more interested in Instagram than they are Twitter. And the reason for that is that it's like a branding thing, because like Instagram's all based around media, right? Like pictures, video, things of that nature. And so it's a really great way to like build a brand and a personality. So if you're not anti-using Instagram, I would recommend trying to use it more. And also I should say all this with the pretense that if you're not super interested in like using social media and like becoming, you know, like a sponsored player or something, then like none of this is, then like you don't have to do any of this, right?
Okay.
So like if your goal is like, hey, EXO Academy, I want to just level up my gameplay so that when I do go to tournaments, I perform better, and that's all you want from the end of it, daijoubu. You know, I'm not here to like force you to do something you don't want to do. So I guess the first question I have is like, after EXO Academy, what is your goal? Do you want to pursue maybe becoming a sponsored player? Do you want to become a content creator? Do you just want to become a tournament grinder? Like, what's your EXO Academy end goal?
My EXO Academy end goal, like, post-combo breaker? I guess more so because my social media presence low is just to overall, I guess, like, just, like, make more of a name for myself as a tournament player. Not necessarily looking for sponsors at the moment, because I'm going to school and everything like that. I don't know if I'd be able to juggle the responsibilities of that. But I think just, like, getting my name out there more, I think, is my overall goal. So that way when I do have, like, a presence and I do keep on competing, I will eventually, if I do want to pursue being sponsored, then I'd have enough of a presence to say, like, hey, here I am, you know?
Okay. Dope. All right. So with that in mind, I'm going to do something. So the people who are watching this have seen the other media trainings probably. So you guys are finally going to get super brand new content, because the other media trainings have been pretty much geared towards people that already have that sort of sponsorship mindset, and they already have a brand. Like, you know, Romanova, people already know, right? People already kind of know Space Cake. People got to know Pichon more because of EXO Academy. So these were all people that were already building their brand. You're starting from, like, the very, very ground level. So this is actually going to be a lot of fresh content for these people, and it's going to be new stuff for you too. So let's start at the very, very basic. We're going to start with your Twitter page. So let me get that open real quick. So your Twitter is, all right, so you're studying at University of Las Vegas. Is that what? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So if you're comfortable putting that information, I would recommend putting, if your school has a Twitter, which almost every school does, I would put that Twitter at in your bio. It just, like, it's not like the school's ever gonna link back to you, right? But it's just like an easy way to, like, be like, oh, hey, this is how you find out more about me. It's the same thing with how you say Wave 2 player for EXO Academy. You put at, you do the at for EXO Academy.
At EXO, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, if your local GameWorks has its own Twitter, you link to that. The reason for these things is that, like, the people who run the social media for that thing, if they start to see that, like, you're generating a lot of page clicks for them, they're going to pay attention to that.
Okay.
Right? So this is just your very basic ground level way of showing people, of, like, giving people a little bit more access to you. For your website, because you know how that's, like, an option for your Twitter profile, put your stream link. Right?
Oh, my stream link?
Yeah, because you don't have a website, right? So your stream link is your website. So, because that way people don't have to... So that way, as soon as I go to your page, I immediately know what your stream is. I don't have to hope that, you know, you recently tweeted out your stream.
Okay.
Right? Because you want people to watch your stream. You want to see people see how dope you are.
Yeah.
So that's just, like, a really simple way to drive people to your stream. So one of the other things that I recommend is, if you want to build a brand and, like, have people want to interact with you, you do a lot of retweets, which is fine, but you should also try to have a decent amount of organic tweets. So what that means is, like, stuff like telling people more about you. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be one of those people that's like, hey guys, going to Starbucks today.
Yeah.
Right? No. That's not what I mean. But I mean, like, if you're really feeling an episode of Game of Thrones, right? Or if you're super into, you know, the My Hero Academia episode that just came out, like, you know, let people get to know you. Because right now, like, I'm scrolling through your Twitter and I, like, know what your meme game is. And I know that you stream Tekken. And that's kind of it. Oh, and you got dope food recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you understand what I mean? Like, there's not a whole lot of you
me, okay,
in your Twitter. And especially if you're trying to grow yourself as a brand and want people to, like, want to get to know you and want to follow you and see the stuff you're doing, why would they do that if they don't see who you are?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. It does. Yeah.
It's your social media is kind of like an icebreaker. You know those like really awkward things that you did in college when you were like in like when you did like when you went to your first dorm. I don't know if you ever did a dorm, but like. So I did dorm life. So like my RAs would at the beginning of every semester would be like, all right, let's do an icebreaker so you can know everybody on your floor. And I'm like, I don't want to know any of these people. But for you, you do want people to kind of know who you are. So you want to put things out. So like a suggestion that I would make is I would start trying to engage with other people on Twitter more. So like people that you look up to, people who you think are super dope. I would engage with them more, especially in the FGC. People are pretty like open-minded and chill. So you can tweet at people and they'll definitely tweet back more times than not. And so that helps like get you in people's, how do I say, it helps get you into the conversation so people see who you are.
Yeah.
Another great way to sort of like let people into ideas that you have is, I really like this thing. So Gem Million and Kawaii Face Miles, they both do questions of the day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know if you follow either of them, but that's one of like the things that they do a lot on Twitter, and it's one of those easy ways to get people talking, and you can also answer your own question. So like you would do question of the day, you know, if you had $100,000, what would you use it on, right? And that's your tweet, and then your second tweet in that thread would be your answer, and then anytime somebody answers, if you don't have anything to say, you still retweet it just so that like it gives that person that like extra feel that you've seen what they're saying. And then on top of that, it like extends the conversation because somebody might not have had a thought, but then they see like, oh man, this dude wants to like, you know, build this like dope training dojo of 100K. Like I'm super down for that. Like that's kind of a cool idea. And so they riff off of that. And then if you do have a thought, somebody says, like, let's say they're like, oh man, I would like to try to throw my own major in my city with that type of money. You can quote tweet it and put your own opinion on it. And that way you're not just answering that person, but you're also extending that conversation out to your followers.
Okay, yeah.
Is everything like clicking so far?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, definitely.
I'm a New Yorker, so I talk real fast, so I have to be...
Oh, no, I understand it,
okay, cool. If at any point I'm saying anything and you're like, can you, like, elaborate? Just, like, let me know. So...
No, I get it, yeah. A lot of stuff is this, like, you know, it's all new to me, and, you know, I'm not necessarily new to social media, but I'm new to Twitter, so just a lot of the stuff I see everywhere, I just never really, like... notice it, you know what I mean? Like I never like took into consideration like, oh, I should do that too, you know? Like I just see it and I'm like, oh, that's just their profile and stuff like that. But now that I like notice all that, I start noticing how all those profiles, you know, with names to themselves, they have what you pointed out and everything. I'm like, oh, now this all makes sense. Yeah,
especially if, like I said, if you told me that like my end goal is to like have a really great learning experience from EXO Academy and then I go back to doing my own thing, I wouldn't stress a lot of this stuff because a lot of this stuff isn't like pertinent to like how normal people use social media, right?
Yeah.
But if you're trying to like grow your brand and like become a content creator and become a professional player, these are things that you're going to need to do to sort of get yourself in that conversation outside of just being a dope player. What a lot of people in the FGC don't understand, and in esports in general to an extent, is that winning and doing well isn't the only part of the job, right?
Yeah.
If that was true, man, I'm gonna get some daggers for this. Then like nobody would be talking about K-Brad right now.
Yeah.
Right? If winning was the only part that mattered, then certain players would just constantly fade into obscurity. But we know that that's not the only part that matters. We know that personality plays a huge role, right? Like we know about like players like Smug and Porkchop, right? Like everybody knows who Porkchop is, right? Like that dude is a character. And he knows it, right? Like, it's the same thing with, like, Little Majin. I'll stick to, like, Tekken players since that's your scene, right? Like, everybody knows Little Majin. Like, he knows that he's got that sort of wrestler flair, and so he does the people's eyebrow, and he, like, has that, like, stage swagger, right? Like, he knows that it's not just about, you know, having the sick Evo run. He's got to, like, make sure that people are still into him after that. And so one of the things that I definitely want to recommend to you is, like, figure out a part of your personality and that you like, and, like, turn that into a character. So you're still being you, right? But it's a little bit extra, you know, it's a little bit spicier version of Chantel, right? Especially because, like, you want to stream, and one of the ways that you keep people interested in your stream is, like, you got to be entertaining, right? Nobody just wants to sit and watch you lab.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I could just watch myself lab, or I can just watch a YouTube video. So why am I going to tune into your stream, right? What makes you different than the other, like, 400 people streaming Tekken, right? You got to figure out what you want to be, and figure out how you're going to execute on that. And that's really difficult, and we're going to work through that a bit today. But that's just, like, a thing that you always have to be thinking about is, like, what am I doing, and how is this going to present me to other people? It's kind of like trying to be one of the popular kids in high school.
Oh, how to get popular?
Yeah.
All right.
You know, it's like one of those, like, really terrible, like, teen movies from, like, the late 90s, early 2000s, where we take the dorky girl and we turn her into the popular chick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's basically what media training is.
Basically the gist of it, yeah.
Yeah. So that's like the basics for Twitter. Like, for your Twitter, like, I really recommend just trying to use it more. Like, find a way to make it comfortable for you. Like, I think it's really dope that you put this highlight clip on your Twitter, right? You're like, here's the time you can catch me on Twitter. Here's the time you can catch my stream. Here's my stream link. And here's, like, me being dope AF while playing. Like, you perfected a dude.
Yeah.
I also like your overlay. I don't know who made it, but it's dope.
Oh, it was Persia. So, you know, just shout outs to Persia. She's really great at making overlays.
Yeah, this is hella sick. Your stuff is gonna look clean forever now.
It's clean, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, this looks great. And so this is the type of stuff that you can put on your Twitter to, like, help get people to notice it. If you haven't noticed in the FGC, people love showing off their swag plays or their, like, mishaps, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's funny when you, like, you drop a combo and, like, it gets turned on you pretty hard, like, and you got salty. Like, that's still a great clip. Like, we all remember those clips of James Chen losing his shit when he's losing.
Yeah.
Right? So if you got that salt, right, like, let people know that you're not just some, like, piece of white toast. Right? That's basically all being on social media is. It's like letting people know how much of a dope personality you have. So I'm looking at your Twitch page, and it's a little bland.
Yeah. I honestly just I only used my Twitch stream just for, like, casual streaming to my friends when we play games together. So it's also my first time, like, using it for a more concentrated purpose for, like, Exo Academy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I haven't really put much to it.
So here you go. This is a Twitch streamer named Ashley Christ. Ashley Christ specializes in making the best stream that you can have. Like, her whole thing is she's a stream coach. So all of her content is based around, you know, building a stream community. There's a link to her YouTube channel on her stream, and it's all these videos on, like, how to have a better stream, how to build your community, how to tackle certain topics. And as you can see, she's got a lot of different stuff here. So, like, for example, obviously you're not, like, sponsored, so some of this stuff is, like, super irrelevant to you. But like, I think her having the goals, right? The like 2019 goals, right? Like, you know, hire a management team, get to X number of followers, get to X number of YouTube subscribers. Setting these like really small goals that are what we call, they're both stretch. You can have both stretch goals and achievable goals. Really gives people, again, a way to know who you are, what you're about, and like root for you, right? Like, because most people want to see people succeed, right? Most people are not misanthropes. So if they're like, oh man, you know, I stumbled upon her stream because she's part of EXO Academy, and you know, she really wants to hit 500 Twitter followers. You know what? I'm gonna hit that follow button, you know, because like I think she can hit that number by the end of the year. Or, oh man, she really wants to attend this con. You know what? I'm gonna toss her an extra $1 because I think that that's something that I want to support, right? Giving people a reason to root for you is a great way to get them to want to engage with you. It's the same thing like how Ashley talks a lot about stream values as opposed to stream rules. So rules make people feel like it's something that you're trying to force them to do, whereas values tells you like what we like hold dear in this community. It's all about building a community. So I really recommend if you really think you want to like continue streaming and like build yourself up as a streamer, that you really look into a lot of her content, because a lot of it is stuff that like I understand and I know, but we really couldn't cover it in a training. It would take a lot of time. But she definitely goes over a lot of this stuff. And a lot of this stuff, I mean, like, her, obviously, like, the graphics or something that she made. But you could probably reach out to Persia and say that you want panels made for your stream, right? That's something that you can very easily do. And then there are other stuff here that's, like, very much just, like, Twitch extensions, right? So that's super easy. Like, the countdown to her next stream, that's an extension that you can just use.
Okay.
So that's your Twitch, because your current Twitch is better than most people's Twitches that I see for the first time. Like, you have your Twitter, and then you have an About Me, but, you know, let people know what your stream schedule is, right? Let people know how often you plan on streaming. Like, right now you're doing EXO Academy, so even just say like, hey, I'm streaming these X days because this day I'm streaming because I'm working with Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
And then, you know, this day I'm going to stream where I'm working on what we worked on. And then, you know, maybe Wednesday night is variety night and Thursday night is this, right? So letting people know what your schedule is, it's kind of like how you watch TV, right? Like streaming is basically replacing the way like TV shows for a lot of people. So like it tells people like, oh, you know what? I'm super down to like see her do her training sessions with Jackie. So like those are the days that I'm gonna tune in, right? And you know what? Oh, she's like super into Jack in the Box games. I'm also super into that. So I would love to hang out with her while she's playing those. So that's like having a schedule like tells your audience. Like I said, it's all, you're gonna hear this a lot. It's all about telling people more about you so that they want to engage with you. So that's, if there's anything I can impart to you about the importance of your stream, is try to make sure that you have a stream schedule. And once again, just like you have on your Twitter, even though you're not permanently a part of EXO Academy, like, you know, it's not like something that's gonna be a forever thing. Although like we're never gonna like be like, oh man, we don't know that chick. Put that in your bio, right? That's super chill. I also appreciate that you're using an anime picture here.
Yeah.
I appreciate fellow weebs.
I don't know if you've seen the anime, but it's personally one of my favorites.
What show is it?
They have a Japanese word for it, but like the title of it in English is Sweetness and Lightning, and it's just
I've heard a lot about this show.
Anime. Yeah, it's just an anime about like this single dad who lives with, you know, in the picture of his small little daughter, and they just have like, there's just like this slice of life, quirky, everyday lifestyle of these two living together, and it's super cute because the little girl is like probably one of my most favorite characters in anime. of like all time because I just like her personality and everything. I would recommend watching it.
I wouldn't know that you liked anime from looking at anything you have.
Yeah, I know. I'm just so used to anime being inherently all around me that I just kind of assume everybody is kind of like, knows.
Yeah, but
or whatever.
Yeah, I understand that. Like I said, it's very different. It's a very different mindset between using your social media as like a normal human and like someone who's trying to become a personality. There's like a definite flip in like the way you use it. But like I said, people want to get to know you, right? You're doing this really cool thing, and it'd be cool for you to show it more. Like, I know that you have to record you have to do like the vlogs, right? But I would even talk to Persia and be like, hey, can I make my own clips from my vlog to like promote, to like get people to want to look at my Twitter and also like help promote me? And then obviously in your like in that clip, you're like showing people the link to the Patreon. But like even doing something like that, right, is like another way for people to get to know you. Like a thing that I've been doing a lot lately is, I don't know if you have a phone with a good camera, but I've been recording like 2-minute videos on my phone about like things that interest me. And I've just been posting those on Twitter every day.
Okay.
Right? And so, you're a big weeb. So you could talk about weeb stuff. You could talk about how school's going, right? Like juggling school and stuff. Although school's probably almost done for you for the semester.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
it should be done in like 2 weeks.
Yep, but like everyone can relate. A lot of people can relate to that. You're not the only person in the FGC who's like trying to balance school and getting good at games and like competing. So like that's relatable content. So that's a thing that you can keep in mind. Now, one of the things that I should go over with you is that potentially while you're doing EXO Academy and probably while you're at Combo Breaker, people are going to want to do interviews with you to get to know you. So I'm going to go over some very basic interview stuff. So number one is that when somebody approaches you for an interview, you ask them what they think, what the interview is going to be about. This allows you to, one, have control of the situation so that you don't feel like you're ever getting surprised during the interview. And two, it helps you formulate what you're going to want to talk about. So if someone's like, hey, I want to talk about you and juggling school and, playing games and like what that's like, you can, before the interview happens, right, you can start coming up with ideas as to what you're going to want to say. The reason this is important is that it's kind of like studying for a test, right? Interviews obviously aren't a test. They're supposed to be conversations, but you definitely do better on the test you studied for, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the interview. If you want people to have like the best version of you, you're going to need to have some of that information already ready so that you're not stumbling over your words. So this brings us to my next point, which is that during interviews, something that I see a lot of people who have never done an interview before do that sort of creates pressure for them is if someone asks you a question, you don't need to immediately fill that space. So what that means, if I was to ask you, what's your favorite anime of all time, you don't have to fill that empty space afterwards with, wow, that's a really hard question. I just, I love so many, right? Like you're like that. While that's usually a natural response to a question like that, it doesn't make for something that's like easy to watch, right? Or listen to. So you want to try to avoid those type of situations. And the best way to do that is if I said to you, what's your favorite anime? You go, that's a great question. Let me think about that for a second, right? So you've created a barrier that says like, hey, I've heard your question. It's a toughie. Give me a second to think, as opposed to, that's so hard, right? Like, we all kind of cringe when we start hearing people say like and a lot. So that allows you to give you time to think about your answer. So don't ever feel pressured to immediately fill that space. And also, don't feel pressured to have an answer. If somebody asks you a question like, oh man, isn't Naruto one of the best animes of all time? Like, you don't have to have a take. If you don't agree or you just don't have an opinion, you're allowed to say that. A lot of times when people are new to giving interviews, they feel like they have to have an answer for everything. They think it's like a test where, like, if I don't give an answer, like a good one, then I'm gonna fail the test. So again, one, interviews aren't tests, they're supposed to be conversations. And two, we don't always have opinions on everything, right?
Yeah.
Right? If you have never played a matchup and someone knows that like that matchup's supposed to be tough and they ask you, hey, isn't this matchup tough for you? You can just say, I've never played the matchup. I've never played the Lee into Armored King matchup. I don't have enough information on that. You don't have to try to like think about what that matchup's like and like talk about it. If you don't have an opinion or you don't know, it's okay to say that. It's something that it's like I said, it's something that I see a lot of people do, is that they feel like they have to have an answer for everything, and then it causes them to stumble a lot, and it's just not important. Sometimes you can just blank on questions. When I do interviews with pro players and various esports, sometimes they're just like, fam, I don't got nothing for you. And you just gotta roll with it. You're like, all right, cool, next question then. Next, and this is sort of a really important one, is when you talk, you want to avoid saying like, and as much as possible.
Definitely.
A good way to prevent doing that is to talk like you write a sentence. So I've said this to everybody. Talk like you're putting a period into your sentences. A lot of us, we just talk, and then we only pause when we need to come up for air, or when we're not sure what we're about to say next. And then when we're not sure what we're about to say next, we say and right? We're like, oh man, today was a really great day. I went to the mall, and then I met up with Julie, and then like we like went and got our nails done. We usually have to say and because we use it as a natural thing to do to link thoughts when we don't know what we're going to say, or to catch our breath. So if we talk more purposefully, and we try to put regular pauses into our speech, that's where we're able to have, we're able to avoid saying and So that's one thing that I really recommend. Try to talk slow, purposefully, and try to picture putting periods into your speech. Just try to talk like you're writing a sentence. You wouldn't write a sentence that went on for like 16 lines. So we're going to practice that. So everybody who has watched these before knows that I have this really adorable Tokidoki book that has 365 questions in it because it's supposed to be your daily journal. I use it.
Book?
Huh?
You said Tokido book?
No, Tokidoki, like the. Oh. Yeah, no. But I use it because it has 365 questions, and it's a really good way to just do practice interview stuff.
Oh, all right.
So I'm gonna pick 2 questions, and then. Well, we're going to do one question at a time. So the first question, and the goal of this is to practice talking without saying and So the first question, and this is a good one. What was the last thing you ate, and was it yummy?
So last thing I ate was this cake that I had. I went to this really nice cafe called Gabby, and I had myself... No! I had myself this really delicious cake. Darn it. Okay, yeah, you're right. It is a really bad habit, but I'll just continue with... I'm trying to remember what I had. Give me just a second.
Sure.
So I went to Gabby, and I bought this cake. This cake was called Donmi. I don't know how to explain it. Overall, the cake was really delicious. It had this pink almost like a cheesecake, and it had this pink filling, and then on the top was this rose flavored gelatin on top, and they even coated it with light sprinkles of gold on it. So
that sounds so good. All right.
It was. I wish I could explain it more, but I couldn't.
No, that's dope. All right. So remember what I was saying about how you don't have to feel like you need to instantly answer the question?
Mm-hmm.
So this was a perfect example of why. So if you had said, oh man, I went to this place, Gabby's, give me a second, because, it was this really great cake. I would be like, oh man, I'm so excited to hear about that. And it would have given you time to try to remember what that cake was like. But instead, you were like, oh man, I know exactly what the last thing I had. So you immediately went to trying to answer it. And then when you felt yourself not remembering or stumbling, that's where those and ums came out, right?
Yeah.
So it's that thing that I said, don't feel the need to instantly answer a question. Even if you think you already have an answer, wait. Give yourself time to formulate an answer. Now, granted, if it's like a video interview, you're going to feel a little bit more awkward pressure to say something right away because, we all feel awkward during dead air. But that's why I said, you can use this sort of like, oh man, you're right. You know what? I definitely know that the last thing that I had was yummy because I had cake. I went to this place called Gabby's. It was this really dope cake. Give me a second because like I have no idea how to even begin to talk about this cake. So you're building up this hype for people, and so everyone's like, "Oh man, what could this cake be like?" And then it gives you time to think about it, and then you can go, "Oh man, it was this like cheesecake, and it was pink, and it had gold dust sprinkles on it. I can't even describe the flavors, but man, was that cake? Oh, it was like the most banging cake I've ever had in my life. Gabby's is like the place you need to go for dope cake, right? Like you have that way to just like give it hype, right? Like you don't, like I said, don't feel the pressure to answer immediately. Because like if I was going to say what was the last thing I had and if it was yummy, the last thing that I had was I went to Wendy's to get a Baconator because I've been on this diet lately and it's really hard. And so once a week I allow myself something like really, really trash for me. And so today was a Baconator. And after not having like anything gross for me for a week, that Baconator was like the greatest thing ever. Right? As you can see, like I kept taking a pause to think about the next thing I wanted to say. So remember to use pauses and remember that you don't have to answer right away. You can kind of give yourself some time to formulate what you want to talk about. So let's give you maybe an easier question.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, I got one. What's the funniest gift you've ever received?
Oh man, give me a second. I've gotten a lot of gifts, so it's difficult to remember what exactly I got. Let's see. Funniest gift. Oh, okay, so this was about a year ago. And it was during my friends. We had a group gathering for White Elephant before Christmas, so it was during the holiday season, right? And we were all exchanging gifts, so everybody's gifts was in the center. And all of us were assigned certain numbers, and whenever our number was called up, or whatever number that we were ordered at, we go in that order. So I believe I was number 6th or 7th out of all of us, and in the circle we had gifts there, so I picked one, and some of my friends were it's White Elephant, so you don't know what you're going to get.
Yep.
And a lot of my friends think that they're comedians, so one of my friends actually gifted a bottle of ketchup as part of White Elephant. And I didn't know what to do about that when I got the gift, we were allowed to do trades too.
Yeah.
And we had to do rock, paper, scissors over it. So if I won the rock, paper, scissors, I could have traded my gift to somebody else. So I did get that bottle of ketchup as my gift, unfortunately.
Oof.
But my friend had a nicer gift, and we played rock, paper, scissors over it, and I won. So then, in the end, my friend ended up taking the bottle of ketchup home instead of me.
Nice. So as you can see, you did say a few times, but because the story was funny, it kind of like added comedic effect. It didn't sound like, you were stumbling over your words. Compared to the first one you did, where you just said and a lot because you were just getting frustrated about not being able to remember anything about the cake. This one, you could tell that you were actively taking an effort to pause when you weren't sure what you wanted to say next. And that's not an easy skill, right? That's why people hate public speaking. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, when we become a pro player or we become a streamer or we become a content creator, public speaking becomes part of your job. So it's just a thing that we're going to have to get over. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing with you is I'm going to be sending you like 10 of these questions. And what I'm going to recommend that you do is that you use your cell phone. And you don't have to post this on Twitter. You don't have to send them to me even. You're going to answer the question as best as you can in a single take. Meaning you're not going to, if you fuck up, you just keep going. And then after you're done, you're going to watch it and be like, oh, you know what? I know why I said here. I was talking so quickly and I didn't really give myself a chance to think. Or, hey, you know what? I touch my face a lot. Maybe I shouldn't do that. You'll notice a lot of the things that you do wrong more when you're doing a single take versus when you're just stopping yourself whenever you fuck up. One of the reasons why I do this exercise is it's very similar to like, how like they in interviews actors will always say when they go back to doing theater acting that it's super hard for them because they get so used to doing movies and TV shows where there's a cut, right? You mess up, they say cut, take it from the top, take it from this line. But on stage, if you fuck up, that's it. You just keep going, right? You can't, there's no do-over. You don't say pause. You don't, restart the set, right? You just have to keep going. And so doing it this way helps you build up natural habits because it'll start to become second nature to you. And similarly, this is like how we play fighting games, right? When we mess up when we're messing up in a game, right? You can't pause and be like, "Hey man, I dropped that combo. Can we go back to the start of the round?" Right? You can't say that. You mess up your combo, you mess up your combo. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with this type of practice, right? You got to just keep doing it in one take because that's the only way you're going to build up better habits. Just like when you're playing against people, the only way you're going to get better at doing your combos is just by doing them, right? So that's... Someone just come in and turn off the light?
It was my dad.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's all right, good?
I need it on. Thanks.
Bye, Mr. SVL.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's a thing to keep in mind. A lot of these training things, just think of it like your fighting game practice. We're just trying to build stronger habits. So we've been doing this for a bit. So one of my first last questions is, do you have any questions for me? Is there anything that you want to go over, something that you didn't understand? Is there something that you want to touch on real quick? You took notes. I'm so proud.
Yeah, I always take notes. I'm an academic, so I'm used to note taking. But for one of my questions,
sure.
Going back to being active on Instagram because it's better for branding, how would I go about being... I mean, I know that a lot of people use Instagram as a form of taking pictures on a daily basis, especially for food or just daily adventures, but for for me in particular, I'm not used to using Instagram. Like, even back then when I used Instagram a lot, that was during my high school days, I didn't even use it on like a daily basis. So what do you recommend as posts on Instagram?
Sure.
And how often should I go about posting?
You at minimum want to post once a day.
Mm.
That's going to be difficult at the start, but you just got to try to make it a daily challenge to yourself. Like, hey, part of my homework and my daily routine is posting on Instagram, right? I don't know if you're so I have a daily flow chart. I have a whiteboard and I like write all the things I want to do today. And on my flow chart is post content. And so I've defined content as, a Twitter video, doing a stream, posting something on YouTube. I try to post content every day. So similarly for you, you just got to work that into your routine. Now, the what is really up to you. Remember, part of using your Instagram and building your brand is, again, what have I said over and over again? Getting people to know about you and your interest in what you're really into. So, it could be a 1-minute video where you're reacting to the newest episode of The Promised Neverland, right? It could be you and a picture of your dog, right? It can be you and your friends are going out hiking and like there's this really dope view, so you want to take a picture of it. Whatever it is that you did today that you thought was really cool, you try to sum it up in a post. And let's say you're like really into your hike and you're like, I'm not going to take out my camera during my hike. My hike's about me getting with nature. Well, when you get home, right, you can take like a selfie and be like, today I went on this really dope hike and it felt really good to just move my body and step away from the controller for a bit. Right? And that can be your post. Right? It's the very start. So there are some definitely higher level things that we could talk that I could suggest. But I think for you, the best immediate focus is just to get into the habit of doing. You just want to get into the habit of doing more. And then you can always reach out to me and we'll talk about how we like step up from there. But I think at the bare minimum, what we really want to do is start just posting more. And it's you always want to be asking yourself, does this post tell people about me? What does it say? What am I telling people? Am I telling people that I'm into, like, you sound like you're a foodie, right? Like I looked at your Twitter, one of your first non-retweets was food. You went to some dope cake place, right? It seems that like you really enjoy dope food. So that's like something that you can very easily always post pictures about, right? Justin Wong does that all the time. He posts pictures of dope food all the time. And then I'm like, man, I hate my life because I'm not eating dope food like this. If you're not confident or if you don't feel confident enough to just constantly post selfies, post pictures of like what you're doing, right? Or if you like to build models, post progress pics. If you did a really dope combo on your Twitch stream, you can take that VOD and upload it onto Instagram through your computer, right? There's all of these different things that you can do. And the end goal is always let people know how cool you are, because you're obviously a cool person because you're part of EXO Academy. So we want people to know how cool you are and how dope you are, because you seem like a dope person. And you don't have trash taste in anime, so that matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, does that kind of help answer your question?
It does.
Dope.
Yeah. I haven't posted in a while, so my friends would be seeing me post would be somewhat surreal to them.
Yeah.
When they see it, they're like, "Oh, you're alive on this social media." I'm still alive, yeah, but not alive on Instagram, so it'll be refreshing for them and myself.
Nice. Is there anything else you have a question about?
Just to be, just maybe just some quick advice on. I think we already went through it just a little bit. You already talked about it, but during my live streams, how to be more entertaining, because I've already been actively thinking about being active, so I look at my chat and I try to interact with people in my chat as much as possible. Mm-hmm. But there's just times where, I'd be playing ranked games, or I would just be in the lab and I'd just be concentrated. But I do think behind my head, or in the back of my head, that, hey, I haven't said anything in the past 5 minutes. I don't know really how to...
This is actually something I used to... So this is something that I used to struggle with. So I play Magic the Gathering. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Cool. So I play Magic Arena as, the primary game that I stream. And I used to just, if no one was talking in chat, I would just play, right? Or I would just comment on... Sometimes I would comment on something my opponent did, or I would talk about how I wasn't drawing lands. But what I've learned from watching other Magic streamers that are, really popular, and you can do the same thing, you watch other Tekken streamers, so, Little Majin, Pork Chop, your coach streams a decent amount, I know. I'm trying to think of who else. Kizzy K doesn't play your game, but he streams a lot. So he's another person that you can watch. Is watch other streamers and see what they do. I personally now just talk about my thought process. So even while I'm playing, this is why sometimes a lot of streamers won't play ranked when they play, because they know, because they're not comfortable talking about what they're doing while also trying to do it. Right? That's a learned skill. So obviously it's going to be very hard for you to do both when you're streaming at first. So even when you're playing, when you're not streaming, just get into the habit. Oh man, so when I hit him against the in this situation, I want to hit him with this launcher, because if I do that, then I can do this, and then that'll put him against the wall, and then I can extend my combo this way, right? Right? And you know what those you know what that process is, right? You know what those inputs are. So it's just saying that you're going to do it. Right? It just fills the air, because sometimes when we're streaming, we can't read the chat, right? Because we're just focused on what we're doing. Because we're in the middle of doing a play or something, right? So, and sometimes our chat's not talking to us. So we've got to get comfortable just talking into the aether, right?
Yeah.
That's I think one of the problems that a lot of Twitch streamers have when they get started is they're well, no one's talking to me, so there's nothing for me to say. Well, no one's talking to people on the TV show you watch, and they somehow find a way to say things. Being a streamer is kind of like being a stand-up comedian. You have to be comfortable just constantly saying things, even if people don't laugh at the joke. Right? So it's very, very similar. You have to just be comfortable to just keep talking. So whether it's commenting on the music you're playing, or, man, I can't believe I dropped that combo. I just started mashing buttons, and this is what happens when I mash buttons, right? Just one, play a bunch so that you're comfortable in saying what you're doing while you're playing, and just talk, right? Even if 10 minutes ago somebody brought up the fact that your picture on Twitch is from this anime, you can just talk about why you like that anime while you play, right? You can talk about the show that you watched. You can talk about, when a song that you really like comes on, you can talk about why it's such a bop, right? There's ways for you to fill that air, because remember, it's not always necessarily about being entertaining in sort of that traditional sense of oh man, Kevin Hart's really funny, right? It's not necessarily about being entertaining so much as making people laugh, because that's one of those things that we think of. We think oh man, we have to be this hyper engaging person, like a celebrity. Being entertaining just means making a connection with people and making people want to stay engaged. So usually, like I said at the beginning, the way you do that is by giving them you as a product. And that means letting them know that you think that Naruto's the worst anime of all time. And you're are you leaving? Oh, I thought you were getting up and leaving.
No. I don't agree with that statement, nor do I disagree.
Okay, but you know what I mean? Just give your hot takes, right? We all know about Justin Wong's tier list now.
Oh, yes. I've seen it plenty.
Right?
Many times.
Right? But, that gets people talking, right? When there's a dead day on Twitter, you can rely on Justin posting some random tier list about how he has trash opinions about soda.
Oh, here we go again.
What he does? He has trash opinions about soda.
Yeah. I've seen it.
And One Piece characters. Actually, no, his One Piece tier list was kind of okay. But yeah, that's the thing, right? Just like learn, like be comfortable, just like talking and saying things, and eventually your chat's gonna want to talk back. So it's really hard to give you advice on how to be entertaining, because for me, I have a boisterous personality, so I just amp it up more, right? I basically, when I'm streaming, I'm like pretty close to pork chop tier of like absurdity, so of just like over animated sometimes. And that's just something I got comfortable doing, because I can be, when I'm with friends and I'm like laughing and I'm having a good time, that's who I am, right? I'm that loud, obnoxious person. So I've just gotten used to doing that when I stream. You know, I make my stream playlist so I'm in that good mood, right? And so since I'm in that good mood, I'm more prone to be more animated. When I'm more animated, I don't care if anybody's talking, because I'm having fun. So it's about finding what makes you have the most fun when you're streaming, and then using that to like be you. Try to be the version of you that you are with your friends. Hopefully you're not the quiet girl.
Oh no, people here locally in Vegas know who I am.
See?
For the FGC, so I just want to project that image to everybody else outside of the Vegas FGC scene.
Yeah, so a good thing that you can do is be like, hey guys, like, especially when you're talking to your friends, be like, describe me as a character, right? If you were to boil me down to like somebody on a sitcom, who would I be? And then take that information and use that to be that person when you stream. Right? So that's kind of like the best advice I can give. And like I said, a lot of the stuff from Ashley, I really suggest looking at her YouTube channel, because that's going to answer a lot of those questions.
Okay.
Anything else I can help you with?
I think that's all the questions that I have for today, actually.
Dope. And I said this during the training, and I say this after the training, and I say this all the time. You're one of the first people in EXO Academy that I didn't already know. So, you know, it was easier to talk to like P-Chan and like Romanova and Amber, because I've been friends with them for years now. So this was cool because I got to do something without previous knowledge. And so I will let you know this. Just because the media training ends doesn't mean that you can't ever talk to me again.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, even when you're out of the program, even after Combo Breaker, if you're like, hey, you know, I really want to take my Instagram to that next level. I know you gave me a lot of those basic tips. Now, how do I do more? I'm 100% down to help you with that. So even if you wake up tomorrow and you're like, I really should have asked her about this, just message me.
Okay.
My DMs are open on Twitter. We're now friends on Discord. Just ask me questions. I'm always here to help you out.
Cool. I'll keep that in mind.
And patrons, thanks for supporting us. We really appreciate it. Without you guys, we can't do EXO Academy. So thank you very much. SVL, thanks for being a pretty good student.
Yeah. Thanks for giving me all this knowledge on social media.
All right.
It's a lot of untapped potential for me.
Yep. And guys, remember to tune into all the other great content that we're putting out on EXO Academy. Until next time, go beyond and plus ultra.
Plus ultra.